Okay, we're doing good. All right, I think we're ready to get this thing going. Welcome, everybody, to Fear and Loving, episode 8. Tonight's episode, The Divided States of America. Bet that's making your synapses sparkle. And yes, we are here. Fear and Loving was established during 2020's COVID-19 pandemic as a platform to bring together voices who believe in the essential impact of Gonzo journalism and who fight for truth and justice from a compassionate heart center. The platform has a strong focus on anti-corruption, compassionate policy changes, as well as the fight for social justice and equality. And we've been doing this thing, so I'm happy to have my friends and Fear and Loving partners here. Potness. We have Ms. Kat Wells, currently in Vancouver, up in Canada, representing. Rue Johnson, Colorado, is where she is hailing from, and Joe Nice, now in North Carolina, but you might know him from the city of Baltimore. And I'm Ranch, and I am in Boston, my favorite place. And we have had just a smile and love and positive mind constantly over the past week, haven't we? All of us together. Everything, just good thoughts. Yeah, so I will, I'm going to go ahead and just throw some words out there this time. We're not going to do the surprise introductions this time. I'm like, we'll just spitball it. But no, we don't have to do the surprise introductions, but maybe we'll say 2 words here. Capitol riot. We're going to start off with the heavy hitting stuff tonight, and we're gonna move on to other aspects of what we are now, so many of us, feeling is the divided states of America. But last week, we'll talk about next week. It's kind of weird that there's some sort of dauntingness to next week. It's like there's something on the books, and the thing that's on the books is not going to be good in relation to the problem that we're facing. I personally think it's not going to be that bad either. The FBI today is not playing around. This country is formidable. It's the federalness of the United States of America. The people in the Senate and in the House of Representatives are leaders, quote unquote, from across the 50 states. Pretty much none of them really want some sort of crazy unrest that law enforcement locally and on a national level isn't able to put down. And I think we'll be seeing a show of force. I don't know. Maybe you guys think I'm missing something. Maybe there's a correlation. I personally think it would be a bad idea for these cops, particularly the ones that were there last. I mean, apparently if somebody was there last week, they might have already got picked up / gonna get picked up by the FBI and by this country. They didn't think that through. They didn't think, they don't understand how we treat people who put themselves in that category, because I suppose it's unprecedented for good reason, because it's not a good idea, dummies. So I think, we're gonna see some shutdown. And I also just will throw this out there too. I've seen people. I saw stats a few minutes ago from one of the more liberal people I know, just being like, I can't believe the day has come that I am agreeing with Mitch McConnell, because he did have a statement today that I would have to say I also agreed with. Just generally, he's not pulling any punches denouncing Trump. Obviously, he's a hypocrite like the rest of them, because he played along with it the whole time like an asshole for his own political gain. But he's still somehow this figurehead in this country, and him saying something goes in the history books. And it's important that guy says, screw Trump. at this point as of today. So I'll open it up. We'll go. Wait, which direction? Joe, I don't know which direction you are. But.
All right. First of all, hello, howdy, hi, hola, bonui, buenos noches, hello. Okay, we're going to get that out of the way. Ranch, you said 2 words, right? 2 words. My 2 words, Diet Coup. Diet Coup. It's like, well, wait a minute, Joe, what you mean? Diet Coke? No, Diet Coup. Because what we saw last Wednesday wasn't exactly a full-on coup. There wasn't any military intervention. There wasn't a general of some army saying, hey, we're going to take over the government. There wasn't a planned order of succession of leadership. But it looked like all of the elements and component parts were available for a diet coup, for a coup, or an insurrection or a riot. And the fundamental question that was asked on Wednesday was, do white men still run this country? And the resounding and unequivocal answer to that question is yes. Because there's no way that a group of black people could do what that group of white people did on Wednesday. There's no way that a group of black people could walk into the Capitol building and take lecterns and take Nancy Pelosi's laptop and steal her mail and go through her desk and snatch up a bunch of pens and red swing line staplers and smoke weed in the rotunda of the Capitol building without harsh, severe, and forever damaging repercussions. So the resounding answer to that question of do white men still run this country is yes. We saw that with the way that police were handled the situation, where police took a laissez-faire and kid gloves approach, as opposed to how the same police in the same city took a heavy-handed approach to Black Lives Matter protesters. Black Lives Matter protesters were protesting against police brutality and racial injustice in the United States. These Trump supporters were protesting the results of an election. So again, my 2 words, diet coup.
Diet coup. Okay.
And I can't take credit for that. I heard someone else say that the other day, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, that actually, because it's not a full-on coup, but it kind of looks like a coup. It kind of sort of tastes like a coup, but it has 50% less sugar in it.
Okay, yeah, it's got a nice ring. It's a brand. I think it could get who would be the commercial star there? I don't know, like Toby Keith or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
In a Britney Spears outfit.
Who knows?
I'm thinking Pepsi. Yeah. Anybody else had any thoughts that they were sitting on before I?
Yeah, I mean, the 2 words that come to mind for me is, the old standby for all of these folks in government, which is white supremacy. Those are my 2 words. That's
we got to talk about that. There's no doubt. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I mean, that's what underlies all of this. And it was such a blatant demonstration of that in so many different ways. And we can talk about all of that further. But yeah, I think that's kind of where my mind is. That's where I want this direction to go, or this conversation to always have as an underlying thing, because it's underlying everything in both the US and Canada and across the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, same. I think for me, I my 2 words would be inside job, right? There's like literally no way that anyone would be able to pull this off. And I too am guilty of being like, look at these fucking hicks, storming the Capitol, like these like crazy, Elizabeth from Knoxville, Tennessee, storming the Capitol, right? That she's like, and they maced us. And I'm like,
she's the martyr now as well here.
Yeah, I was like, well, what did you think was gonna happen? Like, people get maced. I mean, during the second uprising over the summer, people were getting maced for like getting gassed. Like, I mean, you got maced and you went into the Capitol. Like, it's a wonder you didn't get shot. And it's because it's not set up like that, right? It's not set up for those people to, one, feel any danger or anticipate any danger. For me, if I'm going to a protest, I'm under the assumption that there is danger and that I could get arrested, that I could get tear gas, that we could get kidnapped. I mean, seeing what happened in Portland, and these people ran into one of the most secure buildings in all of the world, and they did not do that. They didn't do that by just happenstance. It wasn't like a mob mentality. I think that there was a plan, and there were people on the inside who helped them.
Yeah, I maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe one of you guys know. I'm trying to keep up with all the news around it and all the details, and in a way that this is probably true. Like, I'm looking for the news, the links, the information that when I read it from the source, and I'm like, this is not made up bullshit, and that in of itself is difficult. But I was hearing that like the Department of Homeland Security maybe quit, or like someone in the administration, some peoples maybe in the administration that were around this type of security quit. And I'm like, they should have got fired, first of all, probably. But quitting, like, are they quitting because they're jumping the Trump ship, or are they quitting because they got their job done? It's like,
well, I know, right. One of the people you're referring to is a gentleman named Chad Wolf. He's the acting head of the Department of Homeland Security. He's a relatively young guy, I might add. And he resigned, I think, either earlier today or late yesterday evening. And I think the reasons you bring up for his resignation are certainly valid. I think he wants to disassociate and distance himself from the Trump radioactivity that consistently grows. But I also think that was an absolute failure at his job. And when you have a catastrophic failure as Chad Wolf's had, you kind of need to go away and not come back to that job and not be heard from again for a while. So his resignation was twofold.
Okay. And I think too, I think Chad Wolf's resignation said a lot. And I do think part of it is like these people are jumping the ship because, the DC, attorney general is wanting to bring charges, and there's all this conversation about, I think there's multiple reasons why he resigned. But the one being related to this inside job factor that really, really stuck out to me is not just Ali Alexander, the crazy right-wing person saying there were 3 Congress people who helped him. It's not just, what's her name? Leslie Boehner from Colorado, who was tweeting Nancy Pelosi's location during the insurrection. It's not just that. It's also majority. I think he's the minority whip, Clyburn, how he talked about that he has an office that's like his regular office. It has, his name on the door, but he's never really there. He works in some other office that's kind of tucked off and hard to find. And he said that people actually found his out of the way office, which they wouldn't be able to do unless someone said, hey, they could be in there. So that to me is the thing that sticks out the most. And I feel like he's being very open about talking about that. I watched him on State of the Union on Sunday because it's so clear that there's untoward action happening.
Right. Well, I guess maybe I'm gonna kind of just jump in at times when I feel like we want to keep, there's so much to talk about, so we'll, I'm just going to kind of just take us in different directions tonight, if that's all right with you guys. I wrote a few things down. I got some notes here. I earlier today, I listened to some amazing stuff on NPR today. There are people all over this country that are speaking, and on trustworthy outlets. NPR is something I've been repping my whole life. My father as well, and they were saying that it's time. It's time to see white supremacy and U.S. history. Both essentially reform, I guess maybe not reform, but we need to stop excluding the parts that make us look bad from the history books and update these textbooks and make sure that white supremacy is a part of them. I think ultimately it's not. If I remember correctly, it's not really. They like dance around it. Like somehow, maybe if you have like a magnifying glass, you're like really reading between the lines, you might find something in there. But and they threw out this term, the lost cause mythology, which I thought was interesting as well. So, any thoughts there?
Yeah, that reminded me of my own country, which is Canada. And a friend of mine who actually commented out to Merlin, he has said before that Canada has a really good PR system. Like Canada's really good at covering up all of the travesties that are mechanisms of white supremacy. And so, we're known as sort of the peacekeeping country, but our country is just as wrought with history of genocide and white supremacist horrendous acts, particularly towards Indigenous folks. And that is absolutely true, what they said on NPR today.
Looks like Merlin says maple washing.
Yeah, that's a term. I mean, Canada is a lot more racist than the U.S. in certain people's opinions. So
that's so astounding to hear. I mean, I follow some people on Twitter who have talked about that and who have mentioned that we're all like, oh, Canadians are like so nice, like everything's so much better in Canada. But I was kind of astounded to hear, like, just really, like you said, it's just as racist, if not more racist than the United States. And that's pretty astounding because I feel like the US is like the Michael Jordan of like racist places, so maybe we're the Magic Johnson of racist places. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's smiling racism is another word for it. It's like we will smile at you while we're being discriminatory or building these institutions that are like horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, when I imagine like the education of the public system and the textbooks and like the whole thing that children in this country are getting taught being updated to include that, then you think, well, what happens? Then the conversations are different at home with the parents, particularly the white families, and maybe nobody ever really wanted to have those conversations with kids. They were all for the textbooks, not including that, and. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I think we need to update what we prioritize in our education system, so that it's like kind of like I feel like they should teach children how to balance a checkbook. Like it's like certain things are just you're really going to need to learn about them for later, and I think that in America you really need to learn about the context of white supremacy in this country throughout its history and today. And it doesn't matter who you are, what color you appear, or what your family thinks. It's going to be better for you in how you relate to others. And I guess the question is, and maybe that's what I see with these people. It's like, do they even care how they relate to others? Do they care? Do they have this like lack of understanding of wanting to live together in harmony, or at least not take each other's heads off?
When the world is built for you by others that have always been devalued, yes. I don't think that white supremacists in all forms, myself included, I've had to, unlearn a lot of the stuff that I learned growing up. Like there are so many levels to this that I mean, it allows the privilege to just be so pervasive. And that's why people get so defensive over their white privilege, because it's so ingrained, from a young age that, the world is built for you. So I don't know if anyone else wants to speak to that.
I got a lot to say about that, but as I'm talking about history, I'm like, I think I got to let Joe Nice say something. Somebody, I don't think I know anybody that reads like you, by the way.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for doing that. You do it. I go on your show. You check out live and direct chats with Joe Nice, guys. How often we do that, Joe?
I try to do it as usually about 4 or 5 times a week, depending on my mood and what I've got going on and everything else. But yeah, usually a few times a week.
And you can watch them on YouTube at Joe Nice
Absolutely.
DJ, and that's what I've been doing. So I can I got YouTube Pro now, so I can listen to it on the go. And then you also do a show with Kat.
Yep, Joe and Kat Chats. We just did episode number 31 today, and episode number 31.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's
We've
crazy.
been doing this a long time too, y'all.
Yeah. We're in it to win it. And episode number 31 today was, oh my gosh, it was about employment, and it was a lot there. But to kind of go along with what you were saying, we're going to keep with the 2-word theme. The 2-word theme for the reason why things are the way they are and why people are unwilling to change: cultural autopsy. Cultural autopsy. What we need in the United States is a cultural autopsy. Kat Wells and I did an excellent episode 4 of the Joe and Kat Chat series called Karens and White Fragility. And in that episode, we both said, hey, you know what? Karens are Karens, but how do they become Karens? Karens become Karens because they are easily reproduced. They are products of their environment. They belong to the same social groups and same cultural institutions. They attend the same schools. They frequent the same churches. They usually end up marrying people who belong to those same institutions that are built on white supremacy and hegemony and white privilege. So when you have people who are in a particular environment and they only know that environment, and then we wonder why a group of angry white guys decided to storm the Capitol building, or why you have Barbecue Becky or Corner Store Caroline or Central Park Amy. These are people who are easily reproduced as a result of the institutions that make them. So this is not going to be as simple as saying, hey, you know what? We need to teach them new stuff in school. I think teaching them new stuff in school is part of it, but it needs to be considerably deeper, and it needs to be considerably more of a granular effort in terms of the level of intimacy and intricacy involved in solving this sort of issue. We can't just go on a surface level and say, you know what, we just get new teachers to rewrite history or revise history, that's going to be it. Well, no, because in many instances, it's the same Karens that are teaching the same sort of history. So that's not going to be a help at all. That's not going to be a help at all. And on the flip side of this, and Kat and I sort of alluded to this earlier today, when we talk about armed white men that are storming Capitol buildings, many of these armed white men that we saw storm the Capitol building were policemen. And we talked about employment and labor and unions, and the 2 strongest labor unions you have in the United States are police unions and teachers unions. So again, if we're going to go ahead and try to re-educate people and not just rewrite history, but revise history, you can't revise history without a revision and a dismantling and rebuilding of the cultural and social institutions that create these people that are the white supremacists and the Karens of the world.
Let's go. I'll take 2. You know, I've been waiting. When are we getting that going?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know, but look, I don't know. But look, if there's any white folks that need somebody to come to their church group, or if they need me to show up, if there's a church group, if you're having a bake sale and you want me to speak for a couple of minutes about this sort of stuff, all right. If you want me to show up on your Zoom chat, and again, we talked about this in episode number 4 of the Joe and Kat Chat series. Part of the reason that why we have these conversations is so people from other environments and other backgrounds can learn from people who are not like them. Because when you are consistently in your own echo chamber and you are in your own silo, that is all you know. And ignorance at that point becomes bliss. And your knowledge becomes your way of life. And your way of life becomes this distorted reality that is completely removed from the reality outside of your social circle or your environment or your bubble that you are so unafraid to leave.
So I'm going to do my thing here. I'm going to switch us just slightly. Okay. Switch this up for 5 minutes before we bring Jackson Whalen in here to perform. And I want us to at least get the conversation going around racial capitalism, another 2-word combo that essentially exploitation of people of color in the United States of America. It's still happening. It's always been happening. No, don't just talk about it. Okay. And, that it's not a free market for everybody. And this country must share the wealth and the equity and the opportunity, and we must demand that. And it should have already happened. And if you wake up in the morning, you wonder what the hell you should do today. Well, that should be part of it. Demanding that happens. So, and that makes you a patriot. You are an American patriot if you are doing what we're discussing, if you are fighting for that equity and that wealth and that opportunity for people of color in this country. There's no other, if you're not doing that, or if you're against it, you're absolutely not a patriot. Look down, your name tag says jackass. Sorry. We got 3 minutes left. We're gonna bring Jackson in here in 3 minutes. I see him. He's getting ready. He's ready to go.
So is your question what? Like how?
It wasn't a question.
Oh, okay.
I guess maybe the question is radical capitalism ? That would be maybe racial capitalism.
Racial capital. I mean, I think that like what we're seeing is like racial capital. Like that's the answer to it, right? We're seeing, I mean, for me, when I think about everyone's like, oh, you shouldn't be so surprised. And like everyone knew that Trump supporters are going to go crazy. Listen, I am surprised that they were not only able to like breach the Capitol, but literally run amok in the Capitol. Like we know that white people are like out of hand, right? Like we know that in practice, we know that in theory, we know that in experience. But when I saw the one guy sitting at the helm, like in the speaker's chair on the Senate floor, on the House floor, woo! That was when I was like, okay, white people have really lost it. Like, we knew white people lost it for sure, but that was when I was like, wow, okay, you people have completely lost it. And I, for one, am not taking any lip from anyone, not conservative, blacks or otherwise, about how we protest the cops, Like the police actually killed multiple people this summer, actually, and this year. But particularly, knelt on George Floyd's neck for however long, right? 8 minutes and 46 seconds, whatever. And these people were able to run amok in the Capitol. That is racial. That is the value of their race, meaning something bigger. And I think scarier because they had the upper hand,
We have this like collective perplexion that the four of us experience, and so many of us right now, where we're just like collective, like all at once after last week, we're like, what? Like, huh?
I mean, it's even worse to do while you were like, even there's, it's worse than what we've seen. And I am just astonished and outraged that, the QAnon shaman gets to enjoy like organic meals, while he's being detained.
He's fasting now, apparently. He's on a fast.
Get bought like bars of soap, and there are Muslims who had their beards shaved off and are not given like kosher food. I mean, don't get me started. It's just like
I've been incarcerated. That guy is definitely in segregation. Being, there, it's just like I didn't even want to go there with it, but we got a couple questions here. Maybe we'll just throw these up just from Jake Boynton here in Boston. What kind of classes, programs can we set up in our education system to connect our history to our daily lives? What does it look like to undo the white supremacy program into our nature's culture? And we'll just sit on that. We can pop it back up. We're going to bring Jackson in now. So this is a special moment for Fear and Loving. We have never had a fifth talking head here in the circle, in the square. So I don't know if it's going to drop it right in the middle or what. And we got my good buddy Jackson Whalen. He's going to perform, and let's bring him in here. Okay.
Yo.
Ooh, got a microphone. Okay. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to Fear and Loving, Jackson Whalen.
Thank you guys so much for speaking about what you've been talking about. I've been tuning in, and I haven't really actually had that many people to talk about this or listen to about what happened in the last few days. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Jackson and I go way back. We're buds from live music festival scene, and I think he's been performing hip hop and making beats the whole time. So we won't pull up the early stuff because it's probably a little rough, but you can find Jackson on Spotify all over. I mean, I'm finding him. I mean, you're doing a great job right now. I was telling you earlier, as an independent artist, getting the word out about your music. I just found out about your new track, Angry, and that's what prompted me to hit you up and see if you join us. And you're going to be performing that track, and you got a new album coming out this month as well.
Yeah, that's true. January 29th, dropping an album, and Angry will be on that album. And yeah, I also wanted to just share that I'm on day 2 of like a juice cleanse right now, so I'm quite
spicy.
I'm pretty much starving.
I was gonna say bless it, Jackson, because that I've been there. Yeah, this in December actually it was really tough, but hopefully day 4 and 5 will be a little easier for you.
I think so.
Wow. Bless it.
Where are you located right now? I know
I'm in the woods. I'm in the Berkshires in Massachusetts.
Okay.
About 2.5 hours from Boston.
Why are we not hanging out? You're that close.
New York.
Oh man.
Yeah, where are you at, Ranch? I forgot.
I'm in Boston. Yeah, I'm back in Massachusetts. So we'll have to get together.
Oh, cool.
So maybe just tell us a little. What are we gonna have you perform today?
Yeah. So as you requested, thanks so much for talking about the song Angry. Gonna do that one, and then I'm throwing another one in from the upcoming album as well, which I feel kind of speaks to the times that we're living in. And then I'm gonna do a song that I wrote a couple of years ago called Dear Mr. President.
All right, cool.
Is, directed at the man himself. And yeah, so I just want to talk a little bit about the song Angry as well, because I wrote the song a long time ago, and then I released it the Friday before the Capitol. I was kind of imagining, the protests that were happening in the summer when I was writing it, and because of the pandemic, I wasn't able to be present as much as I wanted to, kind of on the front lines of what was happening in response to police brutality. So as I usually do, I put it into my music, and the mixing engineer for the album, John Davis, who's in Brooklyn, New York, he was pushing me to put it out soon. So that's why I dropped it as a single leading up to my album, because we're just in such turbulent times, and demands are strong on the side that we're all on. And it's definitely, Angry is a song about having a lot of unanswered questions and feeling the struggle of what we're going through and being like enraged about that. And it was just super astonishing to see what the side of white supremacists, how they take out their anger, and how there's a real big gap between that. So
we're ready for you, man.
Stream of thought there.
Hell yeah, cool.
I'm just angry, but I know what to do. Yeah. We're standing at your front door demanding all the answers. 1,000 deep, cramming deep into your mansion. Until we see some real reparations and advancements, we ain't letting up under any circumstances. In the pandemic oppressive, in the summer heat, when police killing black people in the fucking street every week. Who the next one gonna be? The future ain't bright like Bar Steve Bannon. I'm pushing the needle and fighting the evil like Evil Knievel over the Grand Canyon, wings spinning like an eagle, keeping it regal when there's no sequel. Spit out what the media feeds you, you can see what you have agreed to. I'm just angry, but I know what to do. I know what to do. I'm just angry, but I know what to do. Yeah. I'm just angry, but I know what to do. I know what to do. I'm just angry, but I know what to do. Yeah. I'm just angry, and I'm ready for a face-off. I could either stand in the way or just play soft. The rich getting paid off, we get laid off. And POTUS a fraud like Bernie Madoff. Making deals when they play golf and name drop. Private jet to take off, back to the estate to calculate percentages. Influence society over cold beverages. We got centrists complying with white supremacists, and both sides of the aisle don't even know what a rebel is. And when I take a stand, the news is so crippling, contradicting all of the solutions we're envisioning. It's a feeling inside I can't shake off. I'm alone in my zone, had to break off from all these narcissists looking for applause, destroying the environment to save face for lost jobs, lost cause, enacting all the tactics while questioning America's life, liberty, and happiness. Situation hazardous, anger is my catalyst. No more being passive when there's sympathy for fascists. I'm just angry, but I know what to do. I know what to do. I'm just angry, but I know what to do. Yeah. I'm just angry. I'm just angry. Woo! Yeah, so that's angry.
Big ups.
I love that. Also, reparations. Yes. One time.
Yo,
Absolutely.
look, we're all angry. We're all angry. We're still angry from last week, last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Last year, shit.
Shit.
Absolutely, last year.
Angry.
What's this one got? What's this one about, Jackson?
This one is called Work. So, like, angry is very aggressive and kind of directed at the problems that we're facing, and work is kind of like a more hopeful, positive vision of maybe how things can get solved going forward. Definitely, lyrics that have lofty goals.
You got the right audience right now.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. Shout out to everybody who's watching right now. I've really enjoyed this discussion tonight, and just an honor to be here. And I'm stoked to also just be able to let you guys know about the album as well that's coming out on the 29th. So this one's called Work. And just a couple of production notes. I made all the beats on this album with Ian Evans, who plays keyboard, and had a lot of fun with this one. I ain't been ignited before like this. To resist, share my thoughts to you, catching the gist. Planet on the brink of catastrophe, no plan B. But it ain't too late to make it what it can be. You understanding me? Humanity's a family. Just because we're different doesn't mean that I'm your enemy. Put the people first, that's the message. At the top of the checklist, like this. And every day I'm feeling like we need a blank slate. A lot of politicians campaigning on hate, while the temperature's rising at an unprecedented rate. A racist president thought that he could make America great. Yo, our faith is getting tested. So now I'm asking lots of questions while I'm turning on the news to see what I missed. Yo, we gotta come together soon if we wanna catch a grip. But if this will not work, I don't know what will. Put the people first. This is how we feel. If this will not work, I don't know what will. Put the people first. This is how we feel. marching through the streets till the system is defeated, before natural resources become depleted. No slacking, time to demand a ban on fracking, retracting all the bills and legislation that they're passing, moving in an orderly fashion, bringing passion regardless of the reaction of people trying to demean it. A few have all the human rights, many need some, watching injustice play out on a rerun. Just look at Sean King's IGD fund, healthcare for all, that should be a free one. And chances are that I agree with how you feel, and we both want to live to see a Green New Deal. I'm a product of ambivalence, rough times and dark thoughts, but I know we the people gonna make it through the tough parts. No breaks, we ain't gonna slow down. We about to take over, it's a showdown. If this will not work, I don't know what will. Put the people first, this is how we feel. If this will not work, I don't know what will. Put the people first, this is how we feel. Also got some live bass on this track. Definitely inspired by D'Angelo, J Dilla, my buddy Ariel Strom on trumpet. And yeah, big shout out to Ranch. Me and Ranch know each other for a long time. Music festival scene, Technicolor Lenses days.
Wow. Forgot about that.
Lost in Sound days. Boston, New York. Shout out to everybody out there. I was going to visit my grandmother the other day, who's a little bit sick, and she lives right outside of Washington, D.C. And we took a drive down to the monuments late at night, and then we started driving down to like around the White House, and we got out and pulled over and walked and went to Black Lives Matter Plaza and saw all the signs that were up right outside the White House. And that was like a few days before the Capitol thing. And there were like a bunch of police kind of seeming like they had secured the area, and it seemed like, you know, the area was already being patrolled, like, you know, well before the Capitol thing. And you know, I think that a lot of this stuff wasn't surprising to some of us in some ways, but the way it went down, I feel like definitely was surprising and shook us. And
Right.
you know, I hope it brings us together. And I've been wanting to talk about it, but haven't really. I've been kind of bottling it up, and you know, it's good to hear you guys talking about it, everybody here, and knowing that everybody in the comments is thinking about what happened and just reflecting on how solutions for moving forward, pretty much.
So this last one's about Donnie, is that right? Good old.
This last one is directed towards Donnie. Yes.
Your friend. Okay,
Donnie,
go take it away.
You think it's all about you, yeah, you. But what about me? What about me? What about me? Think it's all about you, yeah, you. But what about me? What about me? What about me? Calling out, but ain't nobody really hearing me. Sometimes I think it's all just a conspiracy, but I'm still living fearlessly. Even in this age of tyranny, I spit another stanza in the face of propaganda, with my face up in the camera, full picture panorama. These days, things are not what they appear to be. But behind closed doors, you on all fours, washed up like warlords, distracted by the warlords, infiltrating every corner of the mind, taking up your energy and all your precious time. Yo, I'm gonna flip it off the top about the media. I've been looking at some Wikipedias. Now I'm freestyling off the top of the dome. I forgot the lyrics, I left my detox juice at home. Yo, it's okay because I'm cleansing. Yo, I don't really like that dude from The Apprentice. Yeah, but it's okay because I'm gonna keep it flowing like waters of Venice all day. Yeah, it's fear and loathing. Yeah, loathing and fear, loving and fear. And I'm doing it because we're all here. Yeah, it's a catastrophe. It's like a rapture. Yo, I'm about to go down there and straight capture. White supremacists, MAGA hats, do it like that. I don't like these cats because they're bringing racism back. I'm trying to get rid of that. Generations in my DNA. It's not okay. Trying to go and slay all that material. Keep it lyrical. My head's ethereal because I ain't even been eating cereal. Yo, I'm fasting, everlasting like Gandhi. Yo, I'm coming through with these raps because I want to be. So drop a comment and tell me what's next. I'm staying perplexed. I need some ill text. Yo, never neglect the words that I see in the chat. I'm gonna open it up and just do it like that. Pete Rock vibes. He said the live bass. Yo, I'm just coming around and doing it. Yo, let's give it a taste test. When I come through, I'm giving it my best. Nevertheless, peace from the east to the west.
Yes, unexpected. You did it. Dang,
Yeah.
I thought we were dropping off from two right there. Okay, that's a mic drop.
Oh gosh.
So real quick,
Yeah.
real quick.
Yes.
Cool, guys. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
thank
You
you.
can say yes.
And I just wanted to time moves fast on this, you know, and I just wanted to point out that we only got Rue for 13 more minutes, and that's sad to me, you know.
Sorry, I listen. I had the longest day, and since we're talking about things that feel unfair, I had to go to the dentist last night, and so you know, teeth are fine.
Yeah, good.
But I feel like the
I saw your tweet or sorry, your post. You said you were like, I cannot move my mouth.
I cannot move it. And
I
came like fried my brain a little bit, and I worked all day. So yeah, I'm gonna put myself to bed early. So sorry, I'm an old lady.
Maybe let's just Jackson's gonna stick around with us, but maybe we'll just jump back in and you know, in turn, maybe that second question. What does it look like to undo the white supremacy program in our nature's culture? What do you think, Rue? I'm gonna pick on you because I just, like I said, I'm sad that you're not gonna be with us for the final.
Sorry for the next one. I will be. I have.
No, don't be sorry. I don't mean that as like a shame on you. It's like I'm just. Sorry. I just want to hear your thoughts, you know. And
okay, so the question that was in the chat, I think I can see it. It said, "Where is it? What kind of classes and programs can we set up?" That one.
Well, yeah, but maybe and what does it look like to undo white supremacy program in our nature's culture?
That's just like such a unique question. And I feel like what does it look like to undo the white supremacy is to actually invest in culture that rejects white supremacy. I feel like probably the biggest struggle that one, you don't have to be white to be a white supremacist, right? So there's like so many layers to it that the first thing for me is the outright rejection of white supremacy, which I think means to probably define more specifically what white supremacy is, the history of it, but also how its trickle effects have really broadened the perspective of white supremacy in general. Because, like, you know, we have to fight the white supremacists, but we also have to fight like Clarence Thomas, you know. I know we're taking shots at Clarence Thomas when at all possible, Joe. I know it's really funny.
Wasn't his wife there last week or something?
Yeah, like lost. These people are crazy. Like I can't even. They're completely insane. But in answer to that question, for me, the first step in undoing white supremacy is to reject it flat out, and that is where I think are having our most struggles in terms of accountability, in terms of, you know, really recognizing what is like. No one. I mean. They're calling the people who, you know, the insurrectionists, they're calling them like, quote, white supremacists, but they're not talking about white supremacy as a method of operation, which is the real problem. And I think getting down to the root of how we undo it is to really identify it as a method of operation and, you know, embedded in the fabric of our culture. And so the rejection of it outright has to happen before we can go forward.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for saying all of that, Rue. I love and respect you so much. I totally agree. And I think that this conversation has to be nuanced in the sense that, yes, these people are being racist and white supremacist, but the systems in which we have to hold them accountable are also white supremacist based systems. They're institutions that have been built on that. And so when we're trying to hold these people accountable, all we have are these like colonial systems that are based on white supremacy.
We don't have the right
to get rid of that.
We don't have the right tools to hold them accountable.
You cannot dismantle the master's house with the master's tools.
Ooh.
Let's go, Cat. Well, tell them.
Right? Like it's
so true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
This is why I yell and hate on capitalism so much too, because capitalism and colonialism is how we structure our society, and we need to shift the culture. And I think that needs to start with legislation and holding our elected officials accountable for changing all of that, because yes, we'll whine and complain about having to wear a mask and it being mandated, but seatbelts, that happened with seatbelts in the 80s or 90s. Like, we just do it now, and so we have to legislate this stuff sometimes.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, on that topic, I mean, I guess you segued nicely to one of the things I wanted to bring up, which is Senate control. Immediately, and what that means, and what it should mean is Senate reform. And someone put it real simply for me earlier. Really, if you break it down, the conservatism in America is meant to stop things from changing. That's like the whole bill. That's what it's built around, and that's all they've ever done. My whole life, I've just been like, what are these assholes? Stop! Why are they? And progressives, particularly, which is what liberals are supposed to be and were. It's about reforming and changing. And right now is the time. They've had this opportunity in the past, progressives, and they have not reformed. And we're clearly beyond that mark. And I for one am hopeful that that's what's going to start today and going forward in this year. And I have some other thoughts around it. But I don't know, maybe Joe.
See, brother,
you've been.
I'm not hopeful about this at all. Because let's not, and again, in about let's see, today's January 12th, so in 8 days. In about 8 days, we're going to have a democratically controlled House, a democratically controlled Senate, and a Democrat in the White House. The last time we had all of three of those in agreement, we ended up with a Republican healthcare plan. So I have no faith and no qualms about how I feel about this Senate turning over. And I want to make sure everybody understands what exactly happened a little more than a week ago with the Senate changing hands. The Senate majority, it's actually not truly a Democratic Senate majority. What happened is there was 50, you had 50 Republicans, and then you had, actually, it was really 52 Republicans. 2 Republicans lost their seats. So now it went to 50 Republicans and 48 Democrats. There are 2 independent senators, but the 2 independent senators typically caucus with the Democratic Party. One of them is Angus King. He is an independent senator from Maine, and the other independent senator, everybody knows him, is Bernie Sanders.
I think I know Bernie. I'm open to a new candidate though. Actually,
I'm open to a whole new 535 members of Congress. Actually, let me rephrase that. I'm open to a whole new 538 members of Congress.
I got to defend my Boston University alumni, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, real quick.
For what?
I mean, up to this point, I'll answer your question. Up to this point, I have not seen her, whether it's the vote or the voice, put herself in that bucket with them. I'm watching. If you tell me she has, I'm interested. If you have that job, you need to be held accountable by each of us, no matter who you are, no matter how cool you are, and it doesn't matter. So I'm ready to hold her accountable as well. But up to this point, she's not on my shit list yet, and I hope she never gets there. But I hear you.
when it was time to look, you know, and Jackson, you said you were in Washington D.C. about a few days before everything happened. I was there the Saturday before. I was there on Saturday and Sunday for the Force to Vote rallies. So progressive members of the House of Representatives would hold their vote for Nancy Pelosi until Nancy Pelosi agrees to have Medicare for all on the floor of the House of Representatives for a vote. And AOC has 11 million Twitter followers. 11 million Twitter followers. And she hasn't said one thing about, hey, you know what? I'm going to withhold my vote for Nancy Pelosi until a floor vote gets put on the floor of the House of Representatives. She's never done this. And this is something she campaigned on a little more than 3 years ago when she said, hey, you know what? I want Medicare for all. We're going to fight for Medicare for all. The first thing she did when she got a point, when she beat Joe Crowley, who was the number 4 ranking member of the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives. The first thing she did was say, hey, you know, she said, hey, I'm going to be disruptive. I'm going to be a thorn in the side. I'm going to be a pain in the ass. And what did she do? She ended up voting for Nancy Pelosi. And then when the progressive members of the House had leverage again, what did she do? Oh, she voted for Mama Bear again. AOC is more concerned about being a celebrity and having cooking shows on Twitch than she is actually about.
Woo!
Yo!
I hear you. You are just really upset at her about
I have no faith in her, and I have no faith in anybody, any of the progressive members of the House of Representatives. None of them. Because all of them kissed the ring to Nancy Pelosi. All of them.
I think she wanted that House Oversight Committee. I think she wanted to be look at your face, you're so mad. I feel like she maybe was playing the long game because of that House Oversight Committee. She's
definitely playing the long game. She is on the strategy, and she better be.
We're in the middle of an existential crisis.
I know.
We're in the middle of an existential crisis. All right, we don't have time to play long games.
You're right.
We don't have time to play long games.
I think in her defense, and maybe this is in all of their defense, because I think in so many of their hearts and minds and souls and the representatives we've had over the years that have ultimately fallen into some sort of centrist or corrupt category, they really had their heart and their head in the right place. They meant to, time and again, you hear about these they just get in there with a certain intention, and then they realize they're not going to stick around if they don't play the game. And we need the game to get switched up. And how's it going to happen if somebody like her is voting for Nancy Pelosi? I mean, I see that point. There's room for improvement. Absolutely.
Are you guys familiar with
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you guys familiar with Shahid Buttar?
Of course I am. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like he's a hopeful person possibly for the future.
And Qasim Rashid is another one. Qasim Rashid is out of Virginia.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what hello somebody. What's her name now? Anita Turner. I'd be interested to see if did she practice what we preached? I saw her. I was on the campaign with her. I was standing next to her, like, you know, okay, now you're in there. What's up?
Now, real quick, something I wanted to say with regards to all of this. There was a philosopher by the name of Karl Popper. Okay, Karl Popper once said, "The question is not how you get good people to rule. The question is, how do you get the power elite frightened of you?" I'm going to say that again because, again, I talk quick and sometimes some things get lost in the sauce. The question is not how do you get good people to rule. The question is, how do you get the power elite frightened of you? The reason why I'm saying that is we must continue to hold every single politician's feet to the fire when they don't do what the people ask them to do. Let me rephrase that. When the people demand what they need to do. Jackson, it's the stuff that you were talking about in one of your songs earlier on. Work. You said it in work. I was like, look, the people need to be listening to us. The people need to be listening to us. I don't care. I don't care that AOC has 11 million Twitter followers. I care that AOC is using her 11 million Twitter followers to rise up against the neoliberal establishment that is in Washington, D.C. That's what I care about. I don't care that Ilhan Omar and Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush and Pramila Jayapal and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are power tweeters. What I care about is, are they going to go ahead and do what the their constituents need them to do? Are they going to give us Medicare for all? Are they going to fight for student loan forgiveness? Are they going to fight for legalized marijuana across the country? Are they going to fight for reparations for American descendants of enslaved people? Are they going to fight for criminal justice reform? If they're not willing to do these things, or at least fight for those things, then they have no business being in Washington. And if they're concerned about their careers and they're concerned about their committee appointments, then they're the wrong people to be in Washington in the first place.
I will say that I was watching, everyone talking about, why all the Republicans have essentially acquiesced, and they can't even put the idea of, the country's like greatest institution in democracy being sort of in jeopardy. And they were saying that it's because they're all afraid of the base. And I thought to myself, like, if the Democrats were afraid of the base, then, we wouldn't have been in the position to have to literally like script and scratch just to get, people elected in Georgia. And that's why places like Georgia were so difficult to flip, and why places like Florida will be increasingly difficult. And it is because the Democrat, I want to believe, I agree with what Joe is saying, but I want to believe that AOC and Cori Bush and like a couple of the others that I, really like are, going to be with the people because that's how they were elected. And I want to hold on to hope that they don't do us dirty.
Missouri is the show me state.
Yeah, so
Missouri is the show me state. They're gonna have to show me something.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have to show me something, because what they've shown me already is that they're willing to acquiesce to Nancy Pelosi and her bullshit. They gotta show me something, okay? And they don't have 2 years to do this. They don't have 2 years.
I know.
They don't have 4 years. We don't have the long game. No, they got 100 days. They got 100 days to figure this shit out. Because again, if they keep this bullshit up in 2022, there's going to be a whole bunch of Republicans that are going to take their places, and then it's going to be, well, how come we didn't get anything done?
No, we got to stop that this time. They can't be switching hands. I think I got to put my foot down here. We can't keep switching hands. We need, other countries have leaders and parties that run the show for a while, sometimes in a dictator fashion. We won't go that direction with it.
We came from that direction.
Or did we? We got pretty close.
I think we might still be in that.
God.
Direction.
Real quick, I know I'm like the time check guy and all this.
Yeah, I'm hopping off, but I will see you guys.
I wanted you to be able to say, you got anything else? You got anything else you want to tell people before?
Well, I just wanted to say I loved Jackson's music, and I definitely think that the of having music in the middle was so cool and timely, and the content was great. So I'm gonna follow you on Apple Music. And then should we all just be prepared with our go bags in the trunk on the 20th, and then plan for another Fear and Loathing right after that, in hopes that all 50 capitals don't go up in flames on another day? Me too.
We'll be praying for a Fearing Loving. You guys. Okay.
Loathing.
It's all good. I do it all the time, but we're not only are we going to change people's minds when they think of the phrase, we're going to hopefully change people's minds when they think of the bullshit and the white supremacy and the hate and all the negativity. But yeah,
my love to you as always, Catwell. I adore you. I will see you guys at the next one.
Yeah, we'll be back next month.
All right, bye guys.
Oh, now we're bigger. And we got Jackson in the mix. Jackson, have you been able to catch any of the? I know I kind of sprung it on you. Like I was like, the show. But have you been able to check us out in the past?
That's the reason I hopped on like early in the night, is to check this out for the first time, because I have not yet. So I'm new to this, and I am gonna be a returning viewer. At the least, and I love what you guys are talking about. I also like that this kind of can be a response to specific events, and to be ready to kind of do it whenever something big happens, and to hear your guys' perspective on this is really valuable. So
yeah, we had a different topic set up for this week. We were just going to kind of muse on just all the beautiful things that we're so excited about happening in 2021, but instead, we had to take it to the divided states of America, and I feel like it's just been building the shows that we've done. This is our 8th episode together, and I did a few in the beginning during the pandemic with some other guests, and I like the idea of spending this time and space talking about other things, but there's not enough this conversation happening, so it's dire that we talk about this here, and so yeah, just to plug the show, Fear and Loving. It's a monthly podcast that we do Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Second Tuesday of the month. Sorry, I almost put us to work 3 more times in a month. Not quite ready for that, I don't think. But we don't have that YouTube qualification yet, so go check us out on YouTube and subscribe. You got to search Fear and Loving, and then you have to hit channel, and it'll come up. What ends up happening is you get all the Fear and Loathing, which go check that out as well. But yeah, and I had an image that popped in my mind earlier in regards to a lot of this, where they used to wear the hoods, the white hoods, and you didn't know who they were. That was how they did it here for a long time. That worked somehow. I don't know. And now they just wear it on their hats and they run into the Capitol building and get facial recognition. It's like they don't understand how technology has allowed the authority that they think they're going to go take on to just black bag your ass like right over the head and take you away for good if they really wanted to. I mean, that scares me as well. I mean, it's not like there aren't things that I'm not pissed off about, that I want to go storm the Capitol about sometimes, that involve my freedom and my family's freedom and people's freedom in this country. And the Patriot Act is a fucking travesty, and how that went down behind our backs. Really, I mean, my whole life has been a travesty, and like in turn, not my life, but the American history that I've witnessed since 9/11. Personally, the way that it has panned out politically, fuck that, and that's why we're here, and I'm not going to stop. And it is questionable what's going on with our privacy, with our voice. I do get a little voice in my head when they shut all their social media accounts down, and I do get a voice in my head when they shut down, a private business, et cetera, as everybody's talking about. It's not like I don't think, dang, they can do that, and they will, and they could. That part kind of freaked me out. Why they did it here doesn't. So I must admit, there's a part of me that's like, I kind of want them to be able to shut some shit down immediately by any means necessary, because they didn't have that luxury 100 years ago, 400 years ago, 2,000 years ago. There were, and not to say there weren't empires that needed to be toppled and people that needed to get taken out, but sometimes I don't know, it doesn't feel like that's what we need here. We got, things are messed up in this country, but so much of it is beautiful and so much of it is good, and we really have come a long way, and I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it burnt down, myself. But that was a lot. Take a deep breath.
Yeah, that was a lot. Thank you for that, Ranch. I just wanted to kind of say one thing, and that is, when you were talking about how, the people are just coming out in, their hats and T-shirts and not understanding that they're going to get caught, I guess, and jailed for treason and whatever, trespassing and all the other things that they're getting charged with. But I think that part is the audacity of white privilege. To me, it's like the world was built for these people, and they understand. The police did not resist. They allowed them to enter the building. Like I saw someone talking about who had actually gone to the site that night to witness what was happening just after the curfew was implemented. And they said that the protesters, the rioters, were chanting "traitor" at the cops. And what that means is they thought that they would be on their side, and they were, because they let them into the Capitol. And so these people did not understand that the world is going to punish them because they think they own it. They think that they weren't going to get punished, and they didn't need to hide their identity because of this. So, I don't know if anybody wants to comment about that as well, but.
Oh, I think sorry, Jackson, you're muted there. My bad.
Oh, yeah, it's all right.
Happens.
Yeah, it's just such an interesting thing because like, the left could have done that same thing for very different reasons and probably peacefully, but marched up the Capitol steps or whatever. And yeah, it's obvious that there would have been a very different response. And but I feel like Republicans should consider themselves lucky that hasn't happened to them yet, and also, yeah, it's like with no masks, it's kind of showing your face, but also with the pandemic and stuff, it's just hard to imagine. I feel like a lot of the reasons that are driving this are also based on like YouTube conspiracies too, and I feel like there's also a lot of privilege in that, because if you're able to like just sit around and basically confirm your bias on YouTube all day, like there's a lot of privilege there. And I wonder how many of the people that did that were like QAnon. They think that the government is like running a pedophile ring for real or what.
Yeah, many of them. That's definitely one of the. I didn't quite see. It's not like it doesn't make sense. I didn't quite see that coming in a part of our country's history. That block of people, by any means. But yeah, we're. What do we think about next week? That's really what I lost track of that. But I think so many people are thinking about next week, and that's probably because the media is giving us headlines telling us we had better and giving us details. I read the whole thing about 2 hours ago where it's just like the FBI said this, or this are the things that they're looking out for. Here's what they sound like. Like, that does not sound great. And I hope that they have this shit under control, because people are they like the lady said, they got maced. It's a revolution. Like, I wish I'm actually like, where's I thought I've been waiting for the revolution my whole time. Is this it? Like, this is not my revolution, but I kind of envy that feeling. It's like, wow, you actually think this is your revolution. That's cool. Except it's not, and it's not at all. It's diet coup. Mm-hmm.
What I think is going to happen next week, I have no idea. I have no friggin' clue, because anything could happen next week. Did anyone think that last Wednesday was going to happen? Did anyone see that coming? But then when it happened, was anybody truly deep down surprised? Was anybody really surprised? And when we look at what happened last Wednesday was an exercise in white male rage. That's really what it was. It was exercise in white male rage. And white men in this country are firmly and deeply afraid of losing their majority and their superiority, their supremacy, and their grip on power in the United States. And what we saw last Wednesday was a direct response to 8 years of Barack Obama and all the black faces in high places. So then you contrast that with Trump, and Trump went ahead, and Trump was the first rich white guy as a president to speak to the poor white people of America. So he spoke to all of those white people that felt somehow marginalized or by a perceived takeover of anybody that's black or foreign or brown or indigenous or a non-evangelical Christian or woman or a member of the LGBTQ community. So if you were not one of that, if you were one of those people and you're infringing on a typically white space, white guys all of a sudden are like, yo, well, wait a minute, I'm feeling oppressed. I feel like I'm in the minority. And if real quick, let me finish real quick. Because if you take a look at Biden's cabinet. Biden's cabinet is a polar opposite of Trump's cabinet, a complete opposite. Look at all the people that Biden's brought in. Brought in Neera Tanden, brought in Kamala Harris, brought in Linda Thomas Greenfield, brought in Marsha Fudge, brought in Lloyd Austin, brought in Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, he's a white guy, but he's gay. When was the last time we had a gay person in the administration? Brought in Alejandro Mayorkas, brought in Javier Becerra, who is head of HHS. Contrast that with the Trump administration. Bunch of mediocre white dudes, Chad Wolf, Mike Pompeo, Alex Azar, Mike Pence, Larry Kudlow, Steve Mnuchin, and that fucker belongs behind bars for all this shit.
They don't represent me as a white facing male, you know.
I
wish I felt like I had more, you know, and maybe I don't wish this, but it would be nice if the people that did appear to be like me in leadership positions were people I could respect. I don't know. That would be nice.
Yeah.
And generally can't.
Right. And if you look at, and again, if you look at the compare and contrast, and Cat Wells and I are going to do a show next week. It's going to be called Biden's Cabinet, where we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff.
Cool.
If you look at the appointments that Biden has, there's only 2 or 3 white guys in his cabinet. And if you look at the appointments that Donald Trump has, for the most part, there's only been a couple of people that were not white or women. It was mostly white guys. The 3 exceptions that I can think of are Ben Carson, who is head of HUD. You had Betsy DeVos, who is a billionaire and Secretary of Education. And the only reason she had those connections is because of her brother, Eric Prinz, and his connections with Blackwater and the CIA when he was busy bombing Iraqis in the Middle East. And Elaine Chao. Elaine Chao is of Asian descent, and she was, I forget what she did. I think she was Secretary of the Interior, if I'm not mistaken, or she was Transportation Secretary. And the reason she got that job is because she's Mitch McConnell's wife. And the fact that anybody has to sleep next to Mitch McConnell is a scary thought. But we'll leave our personal judgments and editorializations out of that. But that being said,
Can like store food under his like face flaps.
Oh, yo, look, man, look. There's bits of minestrone soup from 1988 under his third chin. I guarantee you. There's ravioli caught like right behind the ear. Munch. That's Mitch McConnell. That turtleneck motherfucker. I can't stand him. Really? Enemy of the fucking people. Oh, I want to block $600 checks. That foghorn leghorn asshole. Seriously, I want to block $100 checks.
You got more?
I don't think we have any money. What are you talking about? Oh.
Okay, now we're just on this is the Mitch bashing part of the hour.
Shit,
wait,
we got a Mitch bashing hour.
We need a Mitch
bashing
freestyle
part of the hour. It's going to be a whole hour just bashing Mitch. Then we go to Biden and spend 2 hours on him.
Episode 9.
Episode 9, 10, and 11 and a half.
So now we're talking. What'd you say?
For real. Episode 9, 10, and 11 and a half.
Wait, Jackson said something. He was not very.
Oh,
I can't hear you. I can't. Wait. You're muted. Okay, now you're not muted. Okay. Wait, is he muted again? He's muted. Okay. Dang. I don't know what's up with the mute. Can't unmute your guests because they chose to mute themselves.
I got you. I'm back.
Ooh, okay.
I was just saying that could be a good placeholder topic in case something big doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Oh.
For episode 9.
Man, if only something big didn't happen between now and episode 9, maybe we could hope for that by episode 15 or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's going to be a
when we talk about Mitch, it makes me think about Chuck. Because it's going to be Mitch versus Chuck for the next 2 years at least. Think about that. But, in the sense that Mitch McConnell had he's like Bill Belichick. He's like the GOAT of the playbook of how the hell do we get this Senate and House thing to be manipulated to my favor. That's how he's played it. That's why he's still in there. And at this point, like Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, with the opportunity that they have that should involve reforms that ultimately, whether or not they work, who knows, but that's what has to happen. They could squander it. They have in the past. They did last time. And at this point, he's just going to have to play that game like him. And I was hearing that the reform we could be seeing that we do need that is just like a no-brainer is really maybe moving it from, and to me at least, I mean, maybe I'm missing something here, but moving it from 60 as a majority to 50. I think that would be the one they'd be moving it to, but ultimately, like, it's a 60 vote majority, I believe. Joe, what are you saying?
It's a 60 super majority.
Super majority. And I guess just like, come on now, like, what this is. And so what the fear is what everybody always says, that the other side is like, oh, well, if we switch it over, then it's going to be good for them. It's like, just have a little faith, switch it over, and believe that you can hold on to this thing, to the House and the Senate, you know, and know that maybe there will be a day where you can't, and you will be in the loser's seat then, but then you'll be in the winner's seat again. I mean, and now I'm talking like as if the two-party system is going to last forever, and we better hope not. But what happens to this government if there is a third or fourth party, and there are people in, you know, there's quadrants of sections of votes, and it's not so easy, you know. That's a weird thought.
It's a good thought,
I guess. No matter what you think should happen in this country, there's somebody out there who thinks that thought is the end of the world.
You know what? But you know what? With this whole idea of, hey, you know what? Let's hope that we have a majority. Let's hope that we can swing things our way. Let's hope that things will come up roses in our future. If all that level of hope with things coming our way ended up with a 6-3 Republican majority in the Supreme Court. Because, hey, we hoped that Ruth Bader Ginsburg would outlive Donald Trump and his presidency. And oops, what happened? Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. We hoped that, you know, maybe Mitch McConnell would cooperate with Barack Obama and maybe work with getting Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court. But our hopes went awry. You know, we hoped that Anthony Kennedy would resign during Obama's presidency, but what happened? He had resigned 3 months into Trump's presidency. So we can't always hope for things that we would like to happen in government, because government has proven to be completely unpredictable. Look at the last 4 years of Donald Trump. Look how unpredictable that has been.
Oh, we got my dad chiming in here. So he says, Ruth Bader Ginsburg compared the transfer of political power in America to a pendulum that swings back and forth. And I do remember her saying that as well.
Yeah, that's the Overton window.
What's it called?
The Overton window. Overton window.
I don't think I've heard of that.
And I, you know, and Kat and I, didn't we do an episode on this? We did an episode called Voting, where we discussed the Overton window in great detail. I think it was, gosh, was it episode? It was, obviously it was early November.
Some of that episode.
Yeah, we talked about the Overton window. We talked about ranked choice voting, which is an excellent way to have multiple political parties.
Yes, and you and I did as well.
Sure
that was a cool time. That was this summer.
I agree.
Fractal Beach. We got to do that again. We got. Look, real quick, we're in the last 30 minutes here. We're gonna try to start opening up to questions a little more. We're gonna have Mike jump in here, just ask a question and then hop off, and we can answer.
All right,
guys, I'm gonna hop off. I'll try to tune in, but thank you guys so much.
All right, Jackson.
Thanks again, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
Word up.
Thanks. Good to meet you, Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Let me throw up your info here. Thanks, man. We'll see you soon.
See you.
Right on.
Okay, hello, Mike. And so can we hear you?
I'm not sure, man. I just hopped on. I was like throwing some things out in the chat, and I love this conversation that's going on and how I just like jumped in here out of nowhere. So
yeah,
hey, much love, and I appreciate the conversation diatribe going back and forth between everyone, and I'm really like happy you're doing this. So yeah.
Well, we'll have you on the show soon. Mike is actually a Gonzo poet, I would like to call him. You know, we write very similar. We actually have a poetry book that we put together that'll be out soon. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Mike.
Yeah, brother. Oh no, I don't. I mean, I don't have many questions. Just kind of like as you guys were going, like little things like popping up into my head, and yeah, man. I mean, I'm here just listening and appreciating what's going on, and the state of the world is a crazy thing, and like the things that you're bringing up are very important, and we gotta talk about all of them. We gotta talk about how we're coming into this new reality, and how we can best talk to everybody, right? So that's the thing. Like we talk to our own heart, and we talk to our own needs and wants, and then we also have to like realize, like, the crazy thing is that like there are people that have these opinions and these like ideals that are changing the view of a lot of our reality. So like how can we best give our sane, grounded reality to
Right.
guide it in the best way for all of us, for all of our needs, while being like steadfast and staunch on like, hey, this is a line that we can't cross. But anyway, like I'm just listening to y'all, so I just came in, and I'm really happy to just
Thanks, man.
hear a great conversation going on at this point in the night, So yeah, love.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Much love. Oh yeah, this has been fun.
Yeah, I think something that's really striking. Go ahead.
I figured we'd bring in some new voices, and just I'd like to. I don't. We'll start to work on a messaging, to let people know that we really want them to come and communicate and with us on the show in the chat, and to share information and then ultimately we'll have some Q&A. We'll have some folks ask questions. I kind of threw Mike in there a little raw for us, but that worked out. Sorry about that, Kat.
No, all good. I think something that's really striking this time around, and I know it's something that all three of us that remain and those that have been on and left find really important, is just this communication. The importance of communication and dialogue is so freeing, and really facilitating that is something that all of us really want to be able to do. And that's what we're doing tonight, and I love that. And something that actually Jackson mentioned when he first came on was that he's not having these conversations with a lot of people, and I found that really interesting, because like these conversations are just how I live my life. I talk about this stuff with everybody, whether they like it or not. And sometimes I get the eye roll, and sometimes I, just get brushed off.
You're
and whatever.
Easy to talk to about these hard things,
Yeah,
Joe and I wouldn't. Joe and I are like itching to have you to be someone we talk with, and I just, it's refreshing, and I hope that you feel the same about me, and we should feel that way about each other, and it is
totally.
It is something to strive towards.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things you got to work on to get there. And so it's not so easy. I wish it was to be like, just figure out how to communicate better, but, and it feels easy to us that have always done it, and we prioritize it. And, and so maybe that's another thing. I mean, there's so many messages, campaigns of information. Why don't the propaganda use these machines to pump real awesome, positive, society loving, compassionate, building information into? Why don't you drill that into my brains with messaging? I guess that's a really loaded question as to why they would not. We only got. We pretty much are. We can wrap it up. Unless we feel like we missed something on the divided states of America, I like to give everybody an opportunity to say some closing words or just, make sure we didn't miss anything.
Kat, you first. Ladies first.
Thank you. Yeah. I guess that was kind of my point, is just like, we got to keep talking about this stuff because it's so important. And I'm grateful that we have this platform, and Joe and I have the Joe and Kat chats. You can always reach out to any of us to have these conversations because it is really important and we need to keep them going, particularly for those of us that are white, like myself. We need to be having these conversations with other white people in order to hold each other accountable so that, our BIPOC friends and family and whatever don't have to do the emotional labor unless they want to. So with that, I just want to say much love and thank you again for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll be chatting, and we'll all get together to figure out what the next month will be about. But it's not great to plan out in advance these days. I don't think we gotta. And so for Joe, we're gonna ask you. Yeah. We're gonna just read your shirt, and we're gonna say what's going on.
What's going on? It's interesting because the other day I was listening to some old school hip hop. And there was a group of 5 brothers from New York City, and they looked into a camera and said, "Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It makes me wonder sometimes. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under." 5 years later, another group from Los Angeles looked into a camera and said, "Welcome to the jungle. It gets worse here every day. You learn to live like an animal in the jungle where we play. You've got a hunger for what you see. You take it eventually. You can have anything you want, but you better not take it from me." What I just described to you is the existence of Black people and the existence of white people in the United States between 2 different songs amongst 2 different genres. Black people, the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 said, "Hey, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. I'm living in this concrete jungle. And I have to constantly struggle. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under." And then the other group I'm referring to is Guns N' Roses. 4 white guys and a biracial guy, and Slash said, "Welcome to the jungle. It gets worse here every day. You learn to live like an animal in the jungle where we play. If you got a hunger for what you see, you'll take it eventually. You can have anything you want, but you better not take it from me." That's sort of not taking it from me. That sort of supremacy, that sort of protection, that sort of defense mechanism. That is what we are right now in this country. We are living in a jungle. We are living in, as famed sociologist Herbert Spencer said, the survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive. Reg, we ended up last month's episode with a Mobb Deep tune, Survival of the Fittest, where Havoc looked into the camera and said, "There's a war going on outside no man is safe from. You can run, but you can't hide forever from these streets that we done took. You're walking with your head down, scared to look. You're shook because there's no such thing as halfway crooks." Remember that? So, what we're in right now, again, and Kat, you know this, right now, there are 4 fights that I've consistently talked about: the fight for humanity, the fight for freedom, the fight for equality, and a fight for survival. Right now, we are in that existential crisis, which means we are in a fight for survival. So what I would like to see happen is that every one of us recognize that we are in a fight for survival. But rather than survival of the fittest, it should be a survival of sharing. It should be a survival of caring. It should be a survival of community. It should be a building up of community resources so we take care of ourselves and we take care of each other. So that's what's going on.
Thank you, bro.
You're welcome.
It's like, that's what we get from this communication together. And Rue feels it, and we all feel it, and we get a feeling in hearing another speak their truth, and it feels like a gift. You want to say thanks. It feels real, and it gives you hope that you can do the same. And that's what we need to do, you know. And I'm going to read a poem as I do at the end here. So have this, I kind of have like a lot of poems in a note on my iPhone, and they're just in a no order. I just like spin it and spin the wheel, and then I'm like, stop. And I'm like, okay, we'll go with this one today. So it may be relevant. This is called There's Just So Much. There's just so much. So much text, so much thought, so much images, so much tracks, so much tabs open, so much electricity surging, so much new episodes, so much unread emails, so much new connections, so much individuality, so much following, so much liking, so much variation on these themes and memes and electric sheep dreams, so much burgeoning and elastic extremes, so much confusing the Gonzo, so much pushing against that which pushes against what we want to push against, so much reading into text messages, wondering what she really meant, so much Instagram, so much Insta waste of time, so much Insta enlightenment, so much sight, so much retina display light, so much late nights, so much snow, so much money, time, dignity, brain optimization to blow, so much pressure in the nose, so much release and solace in digitizing our prose, so much forgetting a global, perpetual, out of sight, out of mind war, so much more. So much of this pop culture I ignore, so much rebooting of an entheogenic ethos of the new identity, so much forgetting that which we are experiencing and participating in. So many nostalgias as I watch the street lights of this modern and well-paved superhighway blur violently by me as I stand in awe and sometimes fear. Yeah. So much, man. It's been a hell of a week, and I'm wishing that you two and all our guests and everybody watching find some center, you know, and you have to choose to do that right now. We have to, and if we do that together enough, it'll make a difference. The energy will be more centered. We won't have as much fear. You know, and we at the very least will be able to hone that into some hope and some faith, and like the words that they dirtied up somehow in this country. And we got to have it, and it's going to be bad, but it's not going to be as bad as it was for a lot of people in this country at a lot of other points, if not all of them. So your phone will stay on next week. It won't break in your hand.
Nope. And the phone's charged and the bill is paid. So
yeah,
anyone needs to get a hold of you, you know what to do.
You can get Amazon.
Open.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again. Fear and Loving. And this was episode 8 of the United States of America. We'll be back next month, Tuesday, second Tuesday of the month, 8 p.m. Eastern. And Joe and Kat chats. And you can watch that on Joe Nice Facebook.
Yep, Facebook.com/Joe Nice DJ, YouTube.com/Joe Nice DJ, and on Cat Wellness social media also.
Yeah, Cat
Wellness. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube at Joe Nice DJ, or you can find us both on Instagram. Our handles are on this. I'm CatWells22 with a K, and Joe Nice DJ.
And on Joe and Cat Chats on Instagram.
Yep, that's true. We also have a Joe and Cat Chats Instagram. So
that's right.
Yes, and thank you to Jackson Whalen. That's his IG.
Oh, yeah.
We had him on the show, and you guys can find this on Facebook after it ends. And also, if you search the channel Fear and Loving on YouTube, you can find all of our past episodes. And pretty sure you can find us on Spotify as well, or, you know, it just depends on whether or not I do the work. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Right on. Peace.